The reason why I wanted to know and discover myself is because at that time we tend to then find ourselves shutting people out, you know. Yet you were not created to be alone. When we speak of self, it speaks to a lot.
We live our entire lives trying to actually discover ourselves. You are stating that books were more often escape.
We won't take this in life, but it doesn't mean that you are not created to fit in, you are created to stand out.
And what if I don't have the support?
You create the support.
How?
So usually people then stop doing the self-care. People fold their hands, you know.
Based on what you just
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of As You Think, So Are You. I'm your host, Neliswa Mazibuko, a mental health nurse, and today we are diving deeper into how your thoughts affect your life. So, without further ado, let me just introduce to you our guest for today, Seluliwe Masuku, a mental health nurse and a very vibrant human being. And I'm inspired and I'm happy to have her today. Seluliwe, welcome to the show.
It's so vibrant. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Mazibuko. Should I call you Mr. Mazibuko or Neliswa?
Address me in any way you're comfortable with.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Mazibuko, for having me on this platform today.
Yeah,
It's an honor. Yes, to be seated with the highly esteemed and vibrant and creative and mastermind, you know, so many things in a person. So, yeah, it's an honor.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So just a quick question. To people who don't know you, who is Seluliwe?
Okay. Seluliwe Taina Masuku is a young female from Eswatini, from Africa as well. African soil is very important. Born and bred within Eswatini. I am a mental health nurse by profession, practicing, and also beyond being a mental health nurse, I'm a daughter, I am a sister, I'm a child of God. That is very important, saved by the blood of Jesus Christ. So sorry. Yes. And on top of that, I'm a creative writer. So I'm everything psych. It's everything psych.
Everything psych. What a definition of fun person. Yeah, so why? Why mental health out of all professions?
Okay. I knew I was going to do mental health the minute I entered university. I already knew. The first day I was in my first year in university, I was like, I'm not doing midwifery. I'm doing mental health. And my mom asked, why mental health? Because at that time, mental health was not as popular as it is right now. These days, we are seeing the rise of so many mental health experts actually coming forward and actually creating awareness on mental health. At that time, it wasn't like that. At that time, nobody took mental health as serious as we are seeing everyone taking mental health as seriously as it is right now. Not to say that it wasn't serious then, it's just that it wasn't out there.
Okay.
So I told my mom, I'm doing psych, I'm doing mental health. I'm doing it for me mostly because I wanted to understand me. I wanted to understand my family. I wanted to understand the community I was from. And I only, based on maybe me reading a lot growing up, I actually discovered that I can only learn more about myself and how people act and think by actually doing the mental health so that I'm able to see, oh, he's acting, oh, she's acting this way because of this and that.
Okay.
Then the more you dive into how people think, it's kind of like, oh, okay, interesting. So you're able to like interpret and like be like understanding the people and actually accept them for who they are. So for me, it was mostly that. Not to say that midwifery is not a great profession. It is. However, I just felt like my calling was in mental health. So yeah,
More of a calling.
exactly.
Like nursing is a calling, ne?
Exactly.
So, okay. Why did you really want to know and discover yourself
Mm.
through the mental health profession?
Okay. The reason why I wanted to know and discover myself is because at that time I felt like I didn't really know who I was. So I had an opportunity, fortunately. God would place people around me, and He still does, places people around me who were actually in the field of mental health. So when I would engage with them, I would see their life. They actually lived
A more
happy
fulfilled life,
lives.
yeah.
Exactly. They were happy, they were fulfilled. Nothing was seemed to be missing within them. So I was like, I want that for myself. I want to understand myself so that when I am able to understand myself, it'll be easier for me to understand the people around and be able to cope with the stresses in my life. And on top of that, I think at some point in time, I did maybe, because at that point in time, I didn't understand what was going on. I suffered depression. So it was kind of like I was in this box and I wanted to come out of it. So SAC was able to do that to me. It was able to, like, with
unbox
each
you.
class, with each engagement, with mental health aspects, it was like, okay, and you live, and then this flower comes and it listens and it's like, oh yeah, now I know who I am. So yes.
So, how does it feel like to know yourself right now?
It,
And can you actually say you have fully discovered really who you are
mm,
based on what you've just said?
okay. Okay, to start off with the first question, how does it feel like?
Mhm.
It's a journey.
Okay.
It's a interesting journey, because in discovering yourself, it's not only about the positives, it's not only about the strengths, it's not only about the good side, but it's also about the negatives you didn't know you had as a person. It's about the weaknesses I have what a person has. It's about the not so good parts a person has, where we say, okay, I actually possess these traits, which is actually not conducive for myself and the people that surround me. So, with discovering myself through this journey, and of course, I can't say I'm at a point that I've fully discovered myself. No,
Okay.
it's a journey. Like, you keep on learning. The more you discover yourself, it speaks to you. Equaling to you always learning. The minute you no longer find anything new to learn about yourself, it's kind of like you have come to a point of you've stopped learning.
You're not
So
growing.
exactly. So the more you discover yourself, it also proves that you are not stagnant, but you are progressing. In as much as whatsoever situation you can be in can feel like, yo, I'm stagnant. But as you discover yourself, you're actually growing.
Sounds like something interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Do we really arrive
Mm-hmm.
at a point where I feel like no, because you said the moment you think you've arrived, then you know you are no longer growing or you are no longer learning. So which means we live our entire lives trying to actually discover ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe there is a point in time in life where you say no, I've actually discovered everything about myself, so I think I've self-actualized.
Okay. I think to speak to that, it's like a child, from pregnancy. The child grows from throughout the pregnancy. The baby is born. When the baby is born, they have to learn on how to roll on their tummy. They have to learn on how to crawl. They have to learn on how to stand before they take the first step. They take the first step, they fall, but they get up again and they move. So is life. we grow every day. Personally, I would say there isn't a point where one stops growing. Like you continuously grow. Yes, sure, a person can get to a point of maybe I have everything I need, you know, maybe I am at a point of actually saying I've reached the level of this is my highest point. But whenever a person is on that level, they then strive to find out, okay, now I'm here. Then what? You know, there's that need of, okay, I now know that
something,
exactly.
chasing something.
So now I want to know something else. What else can I discover about myself? Which is actually nice as well, because until you actually go to the ground and you die, you are just growing daily. Just like a child growing up into an adolescent,
Those
or the
stages,
first adolescent, from adolescent to, you know, a young woman or a young girl, exactly, until, you know, this marriage. And on top of that, when it comes to growth, there are different seasons in our lives. So different seasons also bring about growth. You know, the minute person, or let's say you transition from being a student to being a graduate, now that's a new season, which comes with new challenges, which means you need to learn new skills. You need to actually learn on how to survive with that. You're now outside that season, you're in another season. And so many things are going to happen within that season. So it's in each season that we have to seek to learn, what am I supposed to pick from this season that I will take into the next season. So you always grow, not just because of what you have, but also the seasons. Seasons change. So you need to also appreciate that seasons change, and I still need to grow. And in growing, I'm still maintaining and knowing who I am. If not really maintaining, but polishing who you are instead of regressing, you know, to what maybe could be something negative. But of course, it's not a one size fits all. Some people can regress to actually being a better person. If they were better then right now they've been thrown off track, they can always go back to say, oh, I was like that. But you can't always be that person. You can take some points with, oh, I was like that. Let me take the positives from that life, then take the lessons from this life where I'm not so good, then become this new person goes on after. So yeah.
These are well thought and well articulated. Great thoughts, I mean. And I'm actually learning a lot. So I'm thinking to myself, like, as someone who maybe would strive for that growth, or someone who would like or would want to actually reach a point where I feel like, no, I'm living this life. Maybe someone who hasn't gone through education in terms of mental health, which helped me to discover some things.
Exactly.
What can you say to that person? Like, what challenges can I expect? What lessons do I need to maybe not really lessons. Like, what challenges do I need to expect, you know? And what really do I need to possess as a person
Okay.
in order to be able to achieve a level of maybe self-actualization? Let me just say that.
Okay. I like that you said self-actualization. So with what you said, it goes down to the self. Let's break down the self. When we speak of self, it speaks to a lot. It speaks to you. And when we speak of you, there's the inner you, and with the inner you, it actually then presented in the external you, which means that you are, as an external you and inner you within you, you are in an external environment, you know. So when it comes to how does a person overcome challenge, like how am I supposed to live life until I get to self-actualization, you know, and everything, it starts with knowing who you are. You need to know you, the self you. You need to understand that you are a person in a body, which is your physical, that speaks to your body. You have senses, you can hear, you can see, you know, and everything. Then within you, you have your thoughts. your thoughts, you have your emotions, which all craft who you are. And on top of that, you have the spiritual aspect of you, which for now I'll speak to the self, the you, the self-concepts, the self-awareness, the self-esteem, the self-image. The minute you are able to understand the self-you within you, then you are going to be able to then understand how do I then get to self-actualization, because it's not a one size fits all. People are different.
Okay.
And that's the most beautiful thing, to be different. Like being different is the most beautiful thing, because imagine if there were two Neliswas, understand? There were a group. So it's always nice to know that there's only one Neliswa Masuku.
And
And
he has a
God,
different line of thought.
exactly, and God made it so beautiful to just create one Neliswa Mazibuko, one Seluliwe
That's
Masuku,
right.
understand? So with all of that, that means that as a person, as you are a person, as I'm a person, we have different traits and we all have our uniqueness. So for the self-actualization, it doesn't mean that you have to copy my life.
True.
I have to copy Neliswa's life to get to self-actualization. It speaks to a lot. Like, understand who you are uniquely, like who you are inside of you, to be able to understand that, oh, I will not we won't take the same route in life, but it doesn't mean that the promises that have been set for us, we cannot inherit them. We will still inherit the promises, just as long as you know who you are and you know that this is the route set out for me to take.
Okay.
So that with that route, you're able to understand that the challenges that I face, it's not because this or that, it's because it's within my route.
Yeah, my specific journey.
This is my specific journey. And in that wilderness season, if I could put it that way, you are able to say, yes, this is my season and I need to learn what I'm supposed to take from this. And with those lessons, you are able to then empower yourself and inspire those around you that it is possible. Just find you. It's about me, the me concept. Who am I? The minute you stand in front of a mirror and say, I am strong, I am chosen by God, the affirmations, it speaks to creating you. And that is how you then get to self-actualization, because you understand your thoughts, you understand your emotions, you are not scared to be you. So the most problematic thing that we see in society is that so many people, especially the youth, want to copy other people's lives. We want to copy different people's cultures.
The era of social media.
Exactly. Even with relationships, with marriages, we are seeing even our elders, they want to copy a certain culture, a certain language.
So it's more like a
your
learned
language.
behavior.
Exactly. Not that not that everything on social media is negative, but we need to be able to pick what can work for me. So the minute you come to the self-awareness, you are able to say, this I take, this I don't take. Because you understand who you are. That comes back to the self-concept. You understand the true you. That comes back to the self-image. You say, this is my image. Therefore, if I want to create my image, which means you are a brand, this I take, this I don't take. This is just not, this is not within I just don't associate with this. I can't allow this, because that is why then people compromise so many things, because they're trying to fit in. You are not created to fit in, you are created to stand out.
About carrying those effects. The journey you are talking about, you've articulated it so well, so beautifully. Actually, it's so interesting that we all have to go through such stages. And unfortunately, so unfortunate.
Unfortunately, or fortunately so.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, fortunately so.
But, it's not an easy journey
Sure.
to tell you. Like, I hear how you articulate it. It's sometimes it can be a lonely journey.
Sure.
Sometimes it needs one person, you, to just focus on you, silence the world outside,
Sure.
and try by all means to focus on you. Like the self awareness, knowing your thoughts, the positive affirmations. What keeps you going?
Mm.
And that in those times of difficulties, those times of challenges, those times of loneliness, those times where you have those winter seasons of your life where everything feels like it's difficult, I can't do it. And as much as I want to achieve this point in life, I want to arrive at this level, what really keeps you going in those dark times as a person? Or maybe what kept you going?
Okay. Thank you for that one. I think to go back to what you said, that when you are in this journey where it feels so lonely, you still need to focus. I love the fact that you said you still need to focus and remember what was the what's the first thing you're supposed to be headed to, or rather, what's the vision, if I put it that way. Um, for me, it clicked discipline. It takes discipline for one to walk the journey, and within that journey, not lose themselves, rather grow in it. So discipline is very important. And then coming back to your question of how does one keep going? How did I keep going? Usually you find that so many people, when they are in the wilderness season or lonely season, or they feel like the world is dark, we tend to then find ourselves shutting people out, you know. Yet you were not created to be alone.
And as much as you have to discover
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah. But you shouldn't do it in isolation like that.
Understand.
For an example, God wouldn't have brought Eve in the Garden of Eden.
But you saw what happened after.
Yes, but the positive thing is Adam was there, and God said, "Mm-mm, he needs someone."
It's not good for a man to be alone.
Yes. Then he brought Eve. So usually we find that people in the way they define self-love and, self-care,
Maybe
they then tend to isolate.
more like feeling that a journey of self-discovery is a
Yeah.
journey I should walk alone.
Alone, yes. Which for me can say, I would say to that, yes, you can walk alone, but within that journey, have the support. You need the support. You need the people who are going to encourage you, clap hands for you. You need the people who are going to be there and say, you said you were going to do this and this by this
People
month.
that will hold you accountable.
Exactly. And encourage you.
Okay.
What happened? Then you are able to talk about it. Now they tell you, you need to rise from that and push until you get to your desired goal. So we need that encouragement. You can't be alone, because when one then isolates that like that, one is already on a journey towards getting into depression. From depression, suicidal thoughts will come. Suicidal thoughts come because, for some people, because at that time there's no positive voice the person can hear, which is why then a client will come to you and say, I am thinking of ending it. Then you say, it's not the end of the world. There's still light at the end of the tunnel. That positivity.
Or that voice that will bring
Exactly.
positivity to the person.
Exactly.
The same voice you need on your journey to self-discovery.
Will then encourage the person not to give up on themselves, rather keep going. So in self-discovery, we need to also learn from our mentors, because in life, I believe we all have people we respect, not really people we idolize. Respect people we can take some killers or minds from. Yes. So we need those type of people that, okay, in this journey of self-discovery, I found this and this about myself so far. Just sit down, have a conversation with them. It's kind of like I would assume sitting under a tree with your grandfather or your father, just maybe or something. If you need that, it's a conversation. Actually, you need that. So in the self-discovery shouldn't mean we need to isolate. You need the positivity. You need the people who are already doing what you want to go to them. Ask them, can you please bring my nan to visit them, have conversations with them so that you grow as well. And as you self-discover, you can pick a few of some of their points, apply it in your life. If it works, then it works. But also you can pick some of the points that they have presented, but apply it in a different way to think the life. Then it becomes your strategy instead of their strategy. So you now own it. So in self-discovery, you need people in life that will encourage you. You need to be aware of who you are, aware of where you want to go, so that you're able to calculate and strategize on this is how I should move. This is who I should talk to. Those are the conversations I need to make sure I hold with this person whenever we meet. Where alignment is king.
Always blown up. Has it always been like this for you? The gem. Because we've started from we've had different stages of life. Yeah. And on some stages, maybe let's say teenage life, there is a lot of noise. There is a lot of searching. There is a lot of association that you want to do, Has it always been like this for you? Has it always been this clear? Besides the fact that you arrived at a point where you felt like mental health was your calling. Let's say maybe let's just digress a bit to before varsity life, before tertiary.
Okay. Of course, it wasn't always like this. It wasn't always like this. But growing up, I would always have a pen and paper. So I would bury my face in books, because just like you said, the noise is loud. You are growing up trying to discover who you are. There's the self-image, what me in high school, I battled with acne. So like it's a lot. It's a whole lot. And you get to, and I went to an all-girls school, get to an all-girls school. That's kind of like, okay, you don't feel beautiful enough. And then there's
The competition.
it's not really competition, but it's there is competition that you see that, okay, right, then we're competing. And also there's this self criticism, that inner critique, exactly, that creates the imaginary competitions. I'm in competition because, so and so is more beautiful.
It's more like you don't feel enough
Exactly.
because of that imaginary being you expected yourself to be.
Yes. And on top of that, because of what you are seeing in front of you, you feel like, oh, okay, I am beautiful if my skin is flawless. I am beautiful if, I have a feather or something. I am, all girls school, I am beautiful if I did my hair about that type of. So it wasn't always like this, but it was, and it has always a journey.
Like I want to ask before, because I believe it has not always been like this. You've been a person who has maybe didn't have the awareness you have right now. You didn't have the knowledge you have right now, but you've been existing. You've been here. You've been alive. You've journeyed through life, had the stages of growth, teenage life, which is the most critical. So how have you actually navigated all those things? How has it been for you?
Okay. So TSI was not easy. Uh, it doesn't even be easy because when I got to high school, I don't speak that the school. When I got to high school, it was a lot. I mean, I need environment from primary. Um, there's this thing of, when you transition from primary to high school, it's kind of like, oh, you're now older, the type of thing, the vibes of you becoming a young lady type of thing. So yeah, I went to an all girls school. So when I was in an all girls school, um, at that time I had acne. Back, it was back, every, every, it was like, yeah, it be true to like keep at us doing the things to be. So at that time, I battled with my self-image at that point in time, to an extent that that sometimes it happens, that some people who battle with self-image, I wouldn't say it's all as I talk, like some people don't even know what they look like anymore. I got to a point of not wanting to even know what I look like in the mirror.
In the mirror.
That type of thing. Because I was like, I'm not beautiful enough, the type of thing. And on top of that, an all girl school with intelligent young girl.
Individuals.
Intelligent. So you get there. I wasn't from those private schools where they spoke English like that. So you get into an all girl school, speak English like, yeah, it's
fluently.
It's like, hey, you don't have the English like that, that type of thing. So you also need to learn that. So it was a lot. It was a kind of like a battle. How do I even get to a point of fluently articulating, concepts, fluently saying what I want to say?
Like trying to meet the standard.
Exactly. So the standard was there, and I'm like, the standard is here, and I'm here.
And then there's the gap.
There? Type of thing. So it came with a lot. Having beautiful friends and feeling like, I don't even know how am I part of this group of friends.
I feel like you belong.
Because I feel like I don't belong like that, that type of thing. So it was a journey of actually getting to a point of, instead of me thinking of those things, I would bury myself in books. I would always read books and it would take my mind away. It would always take my mind away. And I would write in journal and write poems, and this and that. So it was kind of like I was there, but in there, I was just there, but not really living like that. I was just within this place, but I didn't know who I was at that time. So as I continued at my high school, you can see is, oh, okay, now I'm starting to pick up, the type of thing. I then shifted everything to my books, like just shifted it all to my books. So it was kind of like, with the negative thoughts, I would just bury them with compensating with my books. I would say I will compensate whatsoever I feel like I'm less off with actually doing extracurricular things like your chess, your science fair, like I would just want to excel academically and
to balance.
To overcompensate whatsoever that I would feel like I am less of, So that happened until I got to tertiary. It was then in tertiary, then I had to then try to learn who am I, the type of thing. Like when I say I am strong, the type of thing, what do I mean by that? When I say I am beautiful, like, do I really get that, When they say, oh, you've got a nice style, like, do I really see that type of thing? I should see it through my lens, because some people would say positive things. However, I wouldn't see it through my lens.
Not wrong.
It was just like, oh, okay, sure.
So you wouldn't own it.
Exactly. So through tertiary, even through now, it's a journey every day. It's kind of like, oh, okay. Now I get what you mean by that. So it's those inner voices that then keep you awake at night. Then you like, okay, instead of thinking of that, I'm just going to read in my book, and it will just, it's like a pill that's just taking me to sleep. So yeah.
From what you're saying, I think I'm picking something. You are stating that books were more of an escape
Mhm.
than actually something you wanted, maybe. Or rather, it was something that made you feel like you are enough because you can compensate with doing other things instead of actually discovering yourself, your true self.
Mhm.
So for someone who maybe is in your position, who is in your position, or maybe is in your position that is in the position you were in
Yes, back then.
back then,
Mm.
someone who is in that school, that lady who feels like I don't belong, like who am I, like what can you say to that person?
Okay. To a young teenager, to a young female. Um, what I can say is take it easy on yourself. You need to go easy first on yourself. And another thing, this sometimes we create the problems ourselves with how we think,
Okay.
because there is this competition that comes with, okay, there's a two people competing in a boxing ring, and they want to see who is going to be the winner. But also within our minds, there is this battle of I am competing with this negative and positive thoughts. Then sometimes we let the negative thoughts win. Then those negative thoughts inform who we are, yet we are not those people. Sometimes we craft, or we have this image of I should be like this,
As you think.
or
So,
as the thing is like exactly. So you have this thing of I need to look like that for me to be beautiful enough. I need to do this for me to be good enough. I need to, that type of thing. We create so many expectations for ourselves, yet we are not supposed to some extent. Yes, having expectations for yourself, or having goals, or I want to achieve this and that, can be good, it can be constructive. However, sometimes we create these imaginary expectations that I need to, do this and that so that I can be appreciated and stuff. Then you find uh mostly people or other people using products, or let's say with skin. You find a person compromising, the quality because they wanna remove the black spots.
they feel like
They will
best
go
person.
for whatsoever is in the market just to remove it, that type of thing. Yet embrace who you are, embrace the you with the sports as a young girl, as a young boy. Understand that you are at a point of your hormones are doing ups and downs, you are growing. So many things are going to happen, and your face will have the sports and everything. But it doesn't mean that you have to then compromise and actually put yourself at risk of damaging your skin, put yourself at risk of damaging your own health, your kidneys, you name it, with the pill you take, because you're trying to clear it up. You're trying to be beautiful enough because you want to fit in. Yet you were not created to fit in. Stand out with how you are. So I would say another thing, take it easy on yourself. And number two, have people who will tell you the truth. People who will come with positive, constructive, um, conversations that will actually empower you, and you feel welcome and
You are
comfortable.
enough.
I like I was privileged, and still am privileged to have friends like that. Even in high school, I had friends like that. I would tell, I feel like because, my skin is like this and that, then it's not good. Then my friend would tell me to don't worry about that. This thing will just as you grow, it'll just get better and better. And my mom would also say the same, that I was like, your skin was like you. My skin was like yours at that time, but look at it now. It's all spotless and everything. So I didn't really use anything. I just was patient. And you need to understand that your hormones are doing the ups and downs. And also teachers as well, because when you have the right support, it builds your confidence. It really does. There was this point in time in high school when I used to have a very high flow, a very high flow. So the minute I would stand, my skirt would just be literally red. And it was the first thing my teacher said at that time, that you are a female and you're growing up. It's a part of life and there's nothing to be ashamed of.
Okay.
Just go, clean yourself up, and come back, let's learn. It was just like that. Change your skirt. It was like that. Gave me a new skirt. I was able to change and everything. And life continued as if nothing happened. So it's that builds a person up. So it also speaks to the other person who is next to this person battling with themselves within. Be supportive to the next person instead of actually looking down on them, instead of actually pointing at their faults, because then that leads to them seeing faults within themselves, even if they were not at that point. You are destroying the next person by what you say. Rather, let's learn to also uplift each other, because the minute you do that, you do not understand the power of the words and how constructive it can be for the next person. I think that was the point where my confidence was just boosted to say, you know what, no matter what happens, I mean, like, I don't care. Like, I just don't care, because I faced that kind of humiliation in front of a class, but it wasn't humiliating. I didn't feel the humiliation. I thought it was, but they didn't make me feel like that. So having the right support and being a supportive friend to the next person can also help. So yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you so much for that.
Yes.
And what if I don't have the support?
You create the support.
How?
Just like I said, you can't isolate. You cannot isolate. You know who you are. The minute you come to knowing, being self-aware, even if you don't fully yet know who you are, but there is this idea that you have about yourself. Exactly.
Okay.
And there is this person you see yourself becoming. So you cannot then want to be someone great, then walk with people who are not doing things to get to the point where you want to get. So it also speaks to, mostly teenagers when choosing your friends.
Yeah.
It's not only about vibing, we need to vibe and everything. It also speaks to, you need to understand who you are, understand mostly your background, understand that the people that you want have to have humanity. So if they don't have humanity, then you are going to find yourself surrounding yourself with people that will lead to you losing your humanity. So it's about starting connections. You need to learn to connect with people. It's as simple as wherever you are. Even if you do not know a person, just say hi. You look nice. It's just be positive about it. Exactly. Be positive about it, because some people feel like, I find it hard to create connections, that type of thing. Yet you get on the bus, you plug your earphones and stuff, and you are here on your phone. Then next thing, you don't even know where you're going. Then you're then going to take it off. So where's this and this place? You didn't even say hi. We need to go back to actually practicing umuntu ngabantu, that type of thing. So you need to connect with the people around you. Then when you connect with the people around you, then you will find your crowd. So it's small steps.
And how does your background? You mentioned something about background. influencing everything else. Like, how has your background shaped who you are right now as a person?
Okay. In terms of a background, we are who we are because who you are is also influenced by where you come from.
Yeah.
Right? How you think, how you do things, even sometimes your emotions can be influenced by how did you grow up, your childhood and, in this and that. So where I am from at home, my parents are people who are very supportive, one. Two, there are people who will tell you clearly that, for example, my mom will tell you, "Ungahlula into lengakhuluma." Like it's standard, it's standard. So it actually pushes one to always strive, to always want to
To be
actually
better, to do better.
exactly do better in everything. However, with that, it then comes with the element of one finding themselves being a perfectionist, like I am a perfectionist, which is good. However, it also has its negative sides to it because with everything I want it to be perfect. So when I get to a point of it's not perfect, then I get frustrated. So that is also not as good, right? So it's about trying to then find the balance of, okay, I got this something positive like this from my parents. So I'll take the positive. However, also try to see if the positive that you have taken does not then give birth to negative attributes, that type of thing. So you can only do as much, that type of thing. So yes. So with other people, for example, who you might find they are not from very supportive backgrounds, or they have to grow up fast and be the breadwinners of family, this and that. With everything that we go through, it is there to create the you that God has created you to be. In as much as the background can be very painful, and unfortunately, it is very painful. However, fortunately, from that pain, we can pick up lessons that can carry us through in life, with that pain, from that pain and those harsh lessons that we gained growing up, we can actually pick up something positive that can not just inspire you, but also another young African child going through the same, to say, you know what, I've been through that and this worked for me. However, it doesn't mean that it will work for you. But you can maybe look at my life and see that I've made
learn
it
from
until
my experiences.
exactly. I've learned this and I've gotten here with life. However, it doesn't mean that your life should be my life. Just have your life, but understand that in this journey, you are not alone.
Take lessons and create something out of it.
Exactly. So yes. So it also speaks to that backgrounds are not the same. It's not easy. Some people come from dysfunctional families and everything. We need to learn to then take the lessons from that, take the positive from what is going on, then also try to then understand, which is why we always recommend therapy.
Yeah.
So that you better understand yourself, so that you can then better understand the dysfunction within your family, so that you don't then create such a family for yourself and put your own children through
The same
that
situation.
So it's about that from the harsh lessons and the pains, let's take the positive, run with it. However, from the painful experiences, let us also try to forgive ourselves. Let's forgive those who put us through those painful experiences. Then try to then live a life that will not be as painful, or a life of revenge and to the next generation. So yeah.
We don't hold grudges.
No, we should.
We all have moments where we feel like maybe those difficult moments,
Mm.
moments of loneliness, like we've said before.
Mm-hmm.
If maybe you're comfortable,
Mm.
what has been your lowest point in life where you felt like nothing made sense? Like life wasn't meaningful in any way. Maybe you lost all the light at the end of the tunnel. You had no one, not because there were no people, but you felt like you were alone. And how did you actually come out of that black hole?
Okay. I think with that one, I would just say you reach out, stretch your hand. There's always someone there ready to hold your hand. Yes, we all have those points in time where we feel like it's not making sure. Nothing is not making sure. I don't see the way out. Yeah, I saw the way in, but right now I'm just, yeah, and I don't see the way out. I do not know where to go. There has been not just one moment, but just like seasons of different moments where you feel like I felt like right now I feel like I'm just I don't know, tap out. I want to tap out, how they do, like tap out right now. So with those moments, usually my go-to place has always been God. That has been my go-to place. Sometimes you cry, not even know why you're crying, but you just cry, and you're like, God, nothing makes sense. Make it make sense. And it's kind of like God is just quiet.
Looking at you. Okay.
That type of thing. So for me, it also reminds me of Job in the Bible. When he was in that season, it also reminds me of Elisha, if I'm not mistaken, when he actually went to the cave.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
depressed.
exactly. So there is that point in time whereby one gets to that, like in that place, and you feel you feel like, and as much as the people around me, but it's kind of like I'm alone in all of this. Like, yes, they are there, but
Alone in the first
like
crowd.
I'm just like alone, or they don't understand, or the type of thing. No one is understanding how I felt. No one can really understand what I'm going through. However, the way out is always reaching out. Reach out in prayer, reach out also to the community around you. Have that person to talk to actually vent and cry, even with the emotional outbursts. You can actually take a phone and type it fast than the person reads. In as much as some people cannot have the solution for you, however, they can say, oh, you know what, I would encourage that to maybe go back to therapy, or I would encourage that you see someone who is actually a professional who can take you through that. And of course, we ourselves have therapy. I mean, we offer therapy, but we can't offer something that we do not, or we have not tested.
Yeah.
So I also have therapists and people that are around me that are there I can talk to whenever I get to that point. And sometimes at that point people say so many things and you feel like it doesn't make sense. But also being patient with yourself to say it's it it's a journey. I am supposed to experience this, and in experiencing this, I am supposed to then start taking care of myself, because you actually also get to a point of neglecting yourself.
True.
You forget who you are, your dreams, your goals, you neglect your self-care, that type of thing. So it's very important to then have those supportive people who ask, do you eat? Do you take a bath today? Did you brush your teeth? That type of thing. How are you feeling today? That type of thing. Have that person to always call, or people to call.
Okay.
That, okay, if I can't reach Neliswa, I'm able to reach, Ngozi. I'm able to reach, Sisegelo. So it's those type of things that then help you come out of that dark hole, which is why as mental health experts, we are able to then stretch our hands and say, I am here for you. because sometimes some people do not even have the families, they do not have the family support, they do not have the friendship support. However, that is where we then come in and say, with all that said and done, but still there is hope at the end of at the end of the tunnel. There's this light, and I am here to stretch you out of this hole into this lightness. So,
Okay. Yeah, we have talked a whole lot of things,
yes, sir.
and I think I've picked many profound things.
Mm.
And in essence, I picked something about self-talk in a way. From the bit of and pieces of things you were saying and how you actually navigated some challenges. So dwelling on that in much details, how has it been? How has self-talk helped you in your journey of self-discovery, in your professional journey, and in your life in general? And how can one actually accommodate or rather implement self-talk into their daily lives to actually live a more positively, more fulfilling life?
Okay. Okay. When it comes to self-talk, it actually starts with your thoughts, before you actually say it out, exactly. So it's the thoughts, the the voice or the voices in your head. What are you saying to yourself in your head? It starts with that. So before we get to actually me saying whatsoever it is I am thinking, it has to be something I am thinking first, So it goes back to your thoughts. For you to get to that point, it needs to, it start off with your physical body, your eyes. You can see with your eyes, you can hear with your ears. So what you listen to or what you hear, what you see, then goes to your mind to be actually interpreted as, oh, this is a board, this is that, that type of thing. So it's very important then to then understand that we have the power to filter the thoughts that we want to, that we choose for us to work for us,
Okay.
and then take those thoughts that we feel like I don't need that, discard them on the side. So before you actually then come to a point of saying it to yourself, you need to understand the quality of your thoughts. Is it high quality or is it low quality? High quality will then build you up. It will then, come with the positive affirmations. Then low quality will come with something that will then destroy. That's the negative things or affirmations you say about yourself, For an example, I can say, I am enough. That's a high quality thought.
Mhm.
You thought about it before you said it. I am enough. Then the minute you say I am not enough, you know, then that's a low quality thought. And of course, we also need to understand that with everything, almost, or I can say most things that happen to us, it's based on what goes on around us. We usually react to things, One gets to a point of saying, can get to a point of saying, I am not enough after experiencing certain circumstances in their lives. Then they feel like I am not enough because I was not able to do one, two, three. Then it automatically means I am not enough. They come to that conclusion in their thoughts that I am not enough. It's how you interpret things, that then actually comes back to how you then perceive yourself and perceive others, or how you view things or view yourself. It's about the interpretation. The interpretation gives back to the quality of the thoughts. Is it high quality or low quality? So for me, it's not easy personally. As a person, it's not easy to get to a point of always being positive,
Sure.
because we need to understand that so many things happen around us. People say so many things. There are positive things people say. There are also not so positive things, which we could say maybe negative things some people say. However, it also depends on how you interpret it, how you view whatsoever it is that has been said to you, you know. Then you take it and use it for yourself. For an example, if one can say you are stupid, you know, how would you then interpret that? You know?
Yeah.
So then it comes down to saying, a mentor of mine, also a lecturer, Mr. Hlabat, said we need to then analyze this word. We need to analyze the stupid. What does the name stupid means? You know, because it then comes down to, you know what, in life there is this, at some point in time, we all need that dose of stupidity so that we can survive. You know, like it's not to say that you don't see things or you are naive. No, it's to say that I am choosing to let this dose of stupidity in my life so that when someone says something like that, you are not hurt because you know very well that I allowed that dose of stupidity.
Feel that gap.
Exactly. And I allowed it. So whatever it is that is negative that you're going to say to me, I know that I
Just feel
am
it here and it doesn't hurt me in any way.
exactly. So it's about that. The interpretation of your thoughts, how you create your thoughts in your mind is very important. So you have that power to allow things to affect you or to not let other things that people say affect you, you know, which is why then it is very important to always have a reflection, be it on your day, daily, on, oh, okay, I woke up this morning, have that self check. How did I wake up this morning? What was the first thing I thought when I woke up this morning? Did I say, oh, it's a great day, it's going to be a great day? Or did I say, oh, here we go again? You know, because the minute you say, here we go again, your mood is already
The whole
low.
Yeah.
Exactly. And your system and your body is just no energy.
What you tell your mind goes.
Exactly. So the minute you say, oh, it's a new day, it's a bright day, new bright day, new opportunities, you know, for me, it says I have an opportunity to go at it again and actually discover the greatness and the wonderful things that are in that God has for me in today. So at that point in time, your body like releases the serotonin. The next thing you find yourself happy, you find yourself dancing, you know, this and that. It then informs your mood. You are all happy and everything because of what? The first thought that you told yourself, you know, because sometimes we can, with the self talk, we can speak within ourselves without really opening our mouth. Sometimes we need to then force ourselves to say, I choose to say, I am going to have a great day.
Yeah.
You know, because usually you find that some people are battling with the negative thoughts. So you then choose to say, with the negative thoughts, you actually say it with the negative thoughts that are in my head right now. I choose to say, I am going to have a great day. You know, for an example, they say something like, you know, this is not good enough, you're not good enough. Okay, you actually tell yourself, okay, you can actually also go to the toilet if it's in a public space or something, or find a corner and say, yes, so and so, or they have said, I am not good enough, but I choose to say, I am more than good enough. You know, I am who God says I am. So there's nothing and no one who is going to bring me down, you know, that type of thing. They will not understand where I am and where I stand, but I know where I'm going, type of thing. So it's the things you say to yourself, it's the affirmation. Sometimes you can even Google positive affirmations online, have them on the wall, have them somewhere where you, when you wake up, you
See them
immediately
every day.
see every day and say, I am who I am. And the day when you feel the lowest and you set your eyes on them, you're able to be reminded that in as much as I am going through the most, but I remember who I am. There's this power of I am. When you say I am, you are owning it. So people usually look down on that and feel like, it's not really something that can work, but try it and just do it for 60 days. And it actually works for you. It builds that confidence within you. It builds whatsoever it is that you have set on the wall, and you become that person that you say you are. So you are who you think you are. Yeah.
I feel like I have no further questions to ask. Now that you said you are
You,
who you think you are. But one last thing from as we wrap up, I think we need more time at a time. But as we wrap up today, I just want maybe to get maybe one piece of advice you can give from a professional standpoint
mm,
to someone, or maybe to me, but to
mm,
someone who's staying there, who's there at home thinking, how can I actually do all these things we've just talked about?
mm,
How can I actually be that one person whom I will feel satisfied when I feel like I'm living this life, then I'm enough.
mm,
Besides the achievements, besides the accumulation of wealth or anything, but
mm,
being content with myself outside of what the world thinks is enough.
mm,
So, just one piece of advice as we wrap up, from maybe a professional standpoint of view and maybe from a personal point of view.
mm. Thank you for that one. I think it's important that we appreciate that one, we are human beings. Before the possessions, before everything, you know, this is your body. And it, within you, there's the spirit, the mind, the soul. We need to appreciate that first, that I am human. I am a human being. So when we appreciate that, we then have to work towards making sure that we do not lose the being in us, right?
Okay.
Because what usually happens is there are three concepts. There's the human being, there is the human doing, and then there is the human having. Is the human having. So usually you find that with everything that goes on around us, we lose our human being because we are doing.
And how?
And why are we doing? To have. And why are we having? To be appreciated, to be seen, to be to feel a part of a certain community, to feel like I've achieved this and that.
So we can't be.
So we lose the being because we are running after having. And as we are having, we are doing things that take away our mental health, things that compromise the mental health, your emotional health, your physical health. It just compromises the being that is in you. You find yourself losing yourself because you are human doing things to have, to provide. For an example, a husband, a father within a family will go to work. They are human doing. They go to work, they work day and night to earn salary. Why? Because they want to provide. And as they provide, they expect appreciation
To have.
and this and that. So usually you find that what then destroys families is while they do all of this, chase after the two, they then lose themselves because they were expecting to be the appreciation. They don't receive the appreciation from the family.
Which is what they think will define them.
Exactly. Then what then happens? The person loses, or then there's this distortion of, I don't understand who I am. Because I thought for me to be me, I had to go to work, provide. I'm not saying those two shouldn't be done or they are wrong. However, in doing so, do not lose yourself. Do not then compromise your dignity. do not then compromise your principles. Why? Because you are trying to get to a point of, I want to have the status in society. I want to be this person. I want to possess this. However, in all of that, you have lost who you are. And it's equals to a dead man walking. Understand? So that is how we then get to so many suicides, so many high cases of depression. Why? Because so many people are doing and living for the world's standards instead of actually living for themselves. And in so doing, they lose who they are. And once they have lost the possessions, they've lost the work, they feel empty. Why? Because they no longer understand, where do I fit in this whole puzzle? So my advice would be, it is very important to understand that there's only one you, and there can only be one you. You are who you think you are, and you are also what you feed yourself. If you feed on junk, then
Junk will pick up.
you will produce junk, But if you feed on high quality things, high quality food, high nutritious food, then you will actually bear fruits that are actually of high quality. For an example, some people as well, in this season of, some people may then say, okay, I get it. I get I'm not supposed to go after this and that, but I'm at the point of, I feel stagnant, or I've been patient enough, patient for the job, patient for this and that. However, usually you find that some people within the waiting season, they tend to relax. They think patience is, you put your arms down, you fold your hands, and you do not do anything. However, in that patience, that is when you're supposed to do something. It's like when a farmer in a field has their maize, or let's say maize. Before the rainfall comes, they are going to weed off the weeds. And in so doing, after that, they will top dress, so that when the rain comes, the soil is porous enough to hold the water and the nutrients. Then the plant grows into this beautiful plant and bears fruit. So that is the thing, that in that patience of weeding, they were not standing still with their
tools.
yeah, exactly. So they did something with it. So usually people then stop doing the self-care. People fold their hands, because they're like, I want to get there, but I'm tired of doing one and the same thing. If you are tired of doing one and the same thing, then find other strategies or new things to incorporate in what you already knew, so that it's exciting for you once again. So
Yeah, I think you've said it all. So I think this is the best conclusion. I think it's time to actually wrap up. I don't want to ask, or do anything. Otherwise, thank you so much for honoring this invite. Thank you so much for being here today. I've had a very interesting conversation with you. Hope to do it again very soon. Yeah, I hope to do it again. But otherwise, thank you so much for opening up. Thank you so much for sharing this knowledge. Thank you for my. I just hope someone else out there who is going through something like this, another thing, anything about life can relate to what we've just talked about. And I've also learned a lot. So thank you so much once again.
Thank you for having me. As you think it yes, thank you very much, Mr. Mazibuko, for having me on the platform. It's a wonderful platform, honestly speaking, to actually have a mental health space. Yes, so do not stop with me, of course. We would like to see even more professionals on the stage actually sharing the light with you. So it's been an honor to be in your presence on You Are As You Think You Are.